A very good evening to you and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. My name is Krishan Devsagayam.
And I am Hashini Amanda Patirala. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
On Newsfirst.
Bribery Commission probes tons of gold seized from KP. Fonseca summoned to testify. US strikes Iran. Tehran claims Strait of Hormuz closed. Washington denies. Trump says US will hit Iran very hard tonight and threatens to take Kag Island. Inflation surges in Europe and US as energy costs spike sharply. President seeks plan to tackle El Nino impact, orders urgent preparations. Fishermen warn to avoid northwest and northern seas amid rough weather conditions. Gammanpilla tells court complaint was filed by Partly over political dispute. FIFA World Cup 2026 kicks off tomorrow. All matches live on Maharaja Media Network.
And in your top story tonight, the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption has launched an investigation into what happened to large quantities of gold that were reportedly taken into custody by authorities following the arrest of Kumaran Padmanathan, also known as KP. The probe is focused on the fate of the gold stocks, which are said to have been in KP's possession and subsequently taken over by the authorities at the time. Now, as part of the ongoing investigation, former Army Commander Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca provided evidence before the Commission today.
Kumaran Padmanathan, also known as KP, is widely regarded as the key figure who managed the international financial operations of the LTTE. Following the military defeat of the LTTE in May 2009, he emerged as the leader of the organization. However, in August 2009, he was arrested in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, through a joint operation conducted by Sri Lankan intelligence agencies and international security forces and was subsequently brought to Sri Lanka in secrecy. After being brought to Sri Lanka, KP remained under government protection and was later directed towards peaceful political engagement and social service activities. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption has now launched an investigation into large quantities of gold that were reportedly in KP's possession and later taken into custody by the authorities at the time.
I was summoned regarding this matter involving Kumaran Padmanathan, also known as KP, who was arrested in 2009. It has been reported to the Bribery Commission that gold in his possession was taken over by the government and relevant security authorities at the time. I was called to clarify what I know about this. However, at the time KP was arrested, I was not serving as the Army Commander. I was holding the position of Chief of Defence Staff. Therefore, I have no knowledge of any materials that may have been taken into custody from him. I retired from the position of Chief of Defence Staff on the 16th November of that year. That is what I informed the Commission. What is being investigated here is an alleged large-scale gold fraud.
The United States launched renewed strikes on Iran last night, marking a sharp escalation in tensions across the Middle East. Now, Iran responded by targeting American military bases located in Bahrain, Kuwait and Jordan, carrying out retaliatory attacks against US presence in the region.
Well, the worsening situation in the Middle East and the developments arising from the escalating conflict remain in focus at the start of today's news. We now cross over to Onelka Amaratunga for more of the details. Onelka.
Yes, thank you. Hostilities between the United States and Iran have reignited, placing the ceasefire agreed in April under serious threat. Within hours of US President Donald Trump stating that strong action would be taken against Iran, a series of coordinated strikes were launched targeting military surveillance and radar installations in southern Iran. In response, Iran carried out a series of retaliatory attacks targeting US military installations in Bahrain, Kuwait and Jordan, stating that the ceasefire reached 2 months ago had been violated. At the same time, Trump issued a strongly worded statement signaling imminent military action against Iran, warning that the United States would launch a powerful strikes targeting key Iranian defense and strategic infrastructure. In a message posted on his platform Truth Social, President Trump declared that the United States would be hitting Iran very hard tonight.
The United States Central Command has stated that under the direction of President Donald Trump, it carried out self-defense strikes against several targets in Iran in response to what it described as aggressive and unjustified actions by Iran. President Trump had earlier stated that Iran would face consequences for delaying agreement on a peace deal. At the White House, Trump further said that the United States had the right to strike Iran after an American military helicopter was shot down by Iranian forces the previous day. Foreign media reported that the United States launched 49 Tomahawk missiles toward Iran in the early hours of today. Iranian state media reported explosions in Tehran, the port city of Bandar Abbas, and surrounding southern regions near the Strait of Hormuz. Iran also stated that 2 reservoirs supplying drinking water to more than 20,000 people across 10 villages had been destroyed as a result of the US strikes. Iran responded by launching retaliatory attacks targeting US military installations in Bahrain, Jordan and Kuwait. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps stated that it carried out ballistic missile strikes on a US command center located in Jordan. According to the statement, 12 ballistic missiles were fired at the Muwaffaq Salti Air Base, destroying a number of US fighter jets and facilities. Jordanian state media, quoting an unidentified military official, reported that the country's air defense systems and Air Force intercepted and shot down 20 missiles. Bahrain's Ministry of Interior stated that its air raid warning systems had been activated and that debris from intercepted Iranian drones had caused damage to homes and vehicles in the capital Manama and in Hamad town. Authorities confirmed that an 11-year-old child sustained minor injuries. The Kuwaiti military stated in a message posted online that its air defense systems had successfully intercepted hostile aerial targets. Kuwait also temporarily closed its airspace due to the Iranian attacks before reopening it in the early hours of today. Attention has also turned to the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian state media reported that the critical maritime shipping route through the Strait of Hormuz had been completely closed to all vessels. Shortly after that announcement, Iran's Revolutionary Guard claimed that it had attacked 2 oil tankers navigating through the same route. However, the United States Central Command stated that commercial shipping traffic continued to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Following reports of a possible closure of the route and attacks on vessels, global oil prices surged. Meanwhile, the European Central Bank is reportedly preparing to raise interest rates, taking into account rising energy costs due to the conflict and the likelihood of sustained inflation in the coming months. Preliminary data showed that consumer prices rose from 3% in April to 3.2% in May. This remains significantly above the central bank's inflation target of 2%. Core inflation, which excludes volatile components such as energy and food, also increased from 2.2% in April to 2.5% in May. Foreign media reports indicate that a further increase of 0.25% in interest rates is now expected amid the current global economic pressures.
Weather first.
Back to local news. A high-level discussion was held today at the Presidential Secretariat to assess the potential impacts of an emerging El Nino weather condition and to evaluate institutional preparedness to address its effects.
This meeting was chaired by President Anurukumara Dissanayake.
Representatives from several key institutions including the Department of Meteorology, the Irrigation Department, the Central Environmental Authority, the Mahaweli Authority, the Disaster Management Center and the Lanka Electricity Company were among those who participated in a high-level El Nino preparedness discussion. During the meeting, extensive attention was given to the potential impacts of El Nino conditions on food security, drinking water availability and the energy sector, along with the urgent measures required to manage these sectors effectively. The President's Media Division stated that discussions also focused on current reservoir capacities and the steps needed to manage potential pressures in agriculture, water supply and energy sectors. Officials noted that the possible El Nino conditions could closely resemble the situation experienced during 2016 and 2017. They further stated that water management plans have been structured accordingly and steps have been taken to commence the 2026 Yalla cultivation season approximately 1.5 months earlier than usual. According to the President's Media Division, special attention was given to ensuring uninterrupted power supply in the coming months, as well as sustaining agricultural activities and maintaining food security. The President also instructed officials to prepare and present detailed plans to ensure adequate water supply for power generation and upcoming agricultural activities, including the Yalla season, as well as to safeguard drinking water resources. The President highlighted that just as Sri Lanka had successfully faced challenges posed by Cyclone Ditwa and the evolving situation in the Middle East, the country has the capability to manage this global climate-related challenge as well. He emphasized that with proper planning and coordinated action, Sri Lanka would be able to face any potential situation that may arise. What is the latest status of the El Nino phenomenon? The development and progression of El Nino conditions are primarily monitored by measuring sea surface temperatures in the Pacific Ocean. According to the Australian Bureau of Meteorology, when the temperature index in the Central Pacific rises above 0.8 degrees Celsius, it is generally recognized as the onset of El Nino conditions. Accordingly, as of the 7th of this month, the temperature in the Pacific Ocean has reached that threshold. Forecasts by the Australian Bureau of Meteorology indicate that temperatures could rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius during June, reach 2 degrees Celsius in July, increase to 2.6 degrees in August, 2.9 degrees in September, 3.1 degrees in October, and further climb to 3.2 degrees in November. The Department of Meteorology in Sri Lanka has predicted that the impact of this El Nino phase may resemble conditions experienced in 2016. In 2016, Pacific Ocean temperatures rose to approximately 2.76 degrees Celsius. What was the situation in 2016? During the early months of 2016, rainfall was significantly reduced, leading to water shortages. This dry weather condition persisted from January to March, causing water levels in many reservoirs to drop rapidly. Hydropower generation also had to be reduced to around 18% during this period. By May of that year, however, high rainfall was recorded, leading to several landslides, including major incidents in areas such as Aranayaka Samasara hillside. Major flooding was also reported in Colombo and several surrounding areas during that period.
There is no single fixed preparedness plan. However, what needs to be done is to use the latest forecasts and seasonal outlooks to adjust planning accordingly at each stage. It is not about preparing specifically for drought or floods alone. Rather, it is about being ready for different conditions that may emerge over specific periods. For example, rainfall tends to decrease slightly during January and February, while it increases during October and November before declining again. So fundamentally, what is required is effective water management. There are forecasts indicating a strong El Nino event. That is true. Based on projections, El Nino conditions are expected to continue strengthening over the next few months. However, considering Sri Lanka's geographical location and prevailing wind patterns, it is unlikely that we will experience an extreme drought. Predictions of a severe drought or specifying exact months for such conditions are not strongly supported by available data.
And in your weather update tonight, the Department of Meteorology says that intermittent showers or thunder showers are expected in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces, as well as in the districts of Galle, Madura, Kandy and Nuwara.
We now cross over to Onelka once again for the latest weather update. Onelka?
Yes, thank you. Now, the Department of Meteorology stated that fairly heavy rainfall of around 75 millimeters could occur at some locations in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces, as well as in the districts of Galle, Kandy and Nuwara. The department also noted that fairly strong winds of around 40 to 50 kilometers per hour may occur at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills, as well as in the north and north-central provinces and in the districts of Hambantota and Trincomalee. Meanwhile, wind speeds of the sea areas off the coast from Kanke-Santhore to Mana and extending towards Kalpitia could increase up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour at times. Now, the Department of Meteorology warned that sea areas may be rough at times.
News First, main sponsor. 2 countries, 2 degrees within 4 years. Call ACBT. 2 countries, 2 degrees in engineering within 4 years. Be a professional in robotics, mechatronics, and electrical engineering. The next generation of careers that go beyond borders. Limited number of seats for the June intake. Call ACBT on 0117-699-499 or visit www.acbt.net.
Get ready for a night of music, energy and unforgettable vibes as Augusta presents The Monsoon Party at CHNFC 13th June from 7:30 p.m. onwards, featuring an incredible lineup with Daddy, 242, Doctor, The Sleeping Chairs, Magic Box Mix-Up and Pop Culture. Call 077-692-8857 or visit themonsoonparty.augusta.lk.
Welcome back to the news. The Colombo High Court today rejected the appeal filed by Vimal Veeravansa's wife, Ranasinghe Mudyansilage Shrija Udayanthi, also known as Shashi Veeravansa, seeking to overturn the 2-year prison sentence and fine imposed by the Colombo Magistrates Court on her. Now, the Colombo Magistrates Court had imposed this sentence on her after she was found guilty of possessing an irregular diplomatic passport.
Shashi Veeravansa had been convicted on charges of obtaining an irregular diplomatic passport by submitting false information, and on the 27th of May 2022, the Colombo Magistrates Court sentenced her to 2 years of rigorous imprisonment along with a fine of 100,000 rupees. The judgment further stipulated that failure to pay the fine would result in an additional 6-month prison sentence. It is against this judgment that she had filed an appeal before the Colombo High Court, requesting that she be acquitted of the charges. Excerpt from the Colombo High Court judgment.
The accused had obtained a national identity card under number 6753-2020 3V, stating that she was born on February 1st, 1967. Subsequently, she obtained a passport stating that she was born on the 3rd of February, 1971. A passport obtained by submitting false information to the Department of Immigration and Immigration is considered an irregular passport. No individual has a legit right to possess such an irregular passport. The accused had also used this irregular passport to travel abroad on several occasions, clearly establishing that the passport was in her possession. The accused had stated in her defense that there was an error in the lettering of the passport. However, she failed to take steps to correct the error. She also claimed in her appeal that the magistrate had excessively evaluated the evidence presented. However, the magistrate had carefully analyzed the evidence before delivering the judgment.
Udaya Gammanpilla told the Colombo High Court that a complaint had been filed against him by former Minister Patli Champika Ranawaka due to political differences between them. He made this statement while giving evidence in the case filed against him over allegations of misappropriating company shares worth 20 million rupees belonging to Australian businessman Brian Shaddick by preparing a fraudulent power of attorney. The case was taken up today before Colombo High Court Judge Nadi Aparna Suwandurugoda. During proceedings, evidence for the defence was recorded with the testimony of the accused Udaya Gammanpilla being led by President's counsel Shavindra Fernando. While giving his evidence, Udaya Gammanpilla said that a dispute had arisen between him and Brian Shaddick during business dealings. He further explained in his testimony that former Minister Patli Champika, who had political differences with him, had become aware of this situation and had proceeded to file what he described as a false complaint against him. During the recording of evidence, Udaya Gammanpilla provided detailed explanations in response to the questions posed. At this stage, the judge advised the accused to provide clear, precise and truthful evidence before the court. Accordingly, after the recording of evidence for the defence was concluded, the High Court fixed a further date to recall the case for cross-examination of the accused. The case is scheduled to be taken up again on the 1st of July.
The Court of Appeal today ordered that further consideration of the petition filed by former State Intelligence Chief Suresh Saleh seeking a writ to invalidate the detention order against him under the Prevention of Terrorism Act following his arrest by the Criminal Investigation Department be postponed until the 10th of July. The petition was taken up before a bench comprising Court of Appeal President Justice Ruhanta Abesurya and Justice Priyantha Fernando.
President's Counsel Sanjeeva Jayawardena, appearing on behalf of petitioner Suresh Saleh, made submissions before court explaining how the ideology of the ISIS terrorist organization had operated within Sri Lanka. The President's Counsel stated that information had revealed that 39 Sri Lankan nationals had travelled to Syria and joined the ISIS organization, and pointed out that former Minister of Justice Vijayadasa Rajapaksa had also made a statement in Parliament regarding this matter. He further said that investigations into the vandalism of Buddha statues in the Marvanella area had revealed the presence of an extremist international terrorist ideology behind the incidents. Yet the then director of the Criminal Investigations Department, Shani Abesekara, had failed to conduct proper investigations into the matter. He pointed out that although there had been indications of ideological involvement by a foreign terrorist organization, and despite the availability of international assistance such as Interpol to carry out further investigations, the director of the Criminal Investigations Department had acted negligently in addressing the matter. The President's Counsel also stated that between April 20, 2016 and the 30th of April 2019, a total of 97 intelligence reports relating to the activities of extremist groups, including Zaharan Hashim and his associates, had been submitted to the Inspector General of Police. He noted that this information was contained in an affidavit submitted to the Supreme Court by former State Intelligence Service Chief Nilantha Jayawardena. He further said that a list containing the names of 129 people alleged to have supported such extremist activities had also been submitted. The President's Counsel said that despite such warning reports, the then director of the Criminal Investigations Department and the then senior Deputy Inspector General of Police Ravi Senviratne had failed to carry out proper investigations. He also said that Indian intelligence agencies had informed Sri Lankan authorities on the 4th of April 2019 of a planned suicide bombing, knife attacks and truck attacks targeting Christian churches, tourist hotels and the Indian High Commission in Colombo by Zaharan Hashim and his followers, and the names of those expected to be involved in the attacks had also been revealed through that intelligence. However, the President's Counsel alleged that the respondents had failed to properly consider these warnings and initiate investigations into them. He further said that no investigation or report by any commission had revealed any involvement of Suresh Saleh in the Easter Sunday attacks. He further pointed out that a committee appointed to inquire into the attacks, chaired by former High Court Judge Jayakedi Alvis, had recommended that legal action be taken against former CID Director Shani Abesekara and former Deputy Inspector General of Police Ravi Senviratne for failing to prevent the Easter attacks. Following these submissions, the Court of Appeal ordered that further arguments in relation to the petition be postponed until the 10th of July.
A group of victims of the Easter Sunday terror attacks engaged in a silent protest today at the Baldia junction on the Colombo-Negombo main road. The demonstrators called for an end to any interference or obstructions in the ongoing investigations into the Easter Sunday terror attacks.
වාස්තු ප්‍රහාරය දැන් වෙලා අවුරුදු 7ක් වෙනවා. ඒ අවුරුදු 7 ඇතුළතම සිද්ධ වෙච්ච පරීක්ෂණ සිද්ධ වෙන හැම වෙලාවකදීම කරන්නේ කොහෙන් හරි එක්කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලි ඉවරලා එක්කෝ පොතක් එලි දක්වනවා, එලි දක්වලා කියනවා මේක මෙන්න මෙහෙමයි වෙන්නේ කියලා වාස්තු ප්‍රහාරය නම ගවන එක තමයි කරන්නේ. මේ දේවල්ට විරෝධය දක්වන්නත් වාස්තු ප්‍රහාරය අපි තාම අවදිින් ඉන්නවා කියලා මේ කියන්න තමයි අපි මේක මේ විරෝධතාව නිහඬ විරෝධතාව අපි දක්වන්නේ. ඒකලම් බොරු කිය ඔහොම තැන් වල විරෝධය කරන්න කියන්න ඇත්තටම අගතියට පස්සලා තියෙන අපි ඇත්තට මේක විඳින්න ඕනේ. දරුවෙක් නැත්නම් එක කවදා දරුවෙක් අම්මා කෙනෙකුට කවදා දරුවෙක් නැත්නම් ඒක දුක නැති කරන්න හම්බෙන්නේ කවදාවත්. යුක්තිය සාධාරණ ඉල්ලා දෙන්න මේ අවුරුදු 7ක් අපි නිහඬව බලන් හිටියා.
A group of activists staged a protest today in front of the Fort railway station, calling for justice for the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks.
For 7 years now, we as civil activists have been demanding justice for this, not for any political agenda. This is being turned into a mind game by intelligence-linked politics. At times, he claims to have no memory. But no matter what mind games are being played, the spirits of these victims will continue to follow you. We also say to Gammanpila and Veeravansa, these 278 lives that were lost will never stop following you. One day, your conscience will speak, and there is no escape from that conscience.
උඹලාගේ හෘද සාක්ෂි කතා කරන දවසක් එනවා. ඒ හෘද සාක්ෂි වලින් ගැලවීමක් නැහැ.
අර නැවතිලා තිබුණු ඒ විමර්ශනවලට
Now we are seeing the investigations that had stalled being revived and moving forward again. Recently, we saw Vimal Veeravansa, Gamman Pilla and a few other minor political groups staging protests here. We have simple questions for them. Over the past 7 years, how many candles have you lit for the victims of the Easter attacks? How many floral tributes have you placed in memory of those who were killed? Out of the 500 people who were left disabled and are still suffering at home today, how many did you help even by giving a single medicine tablet? How many people who are now permanently injured and confined to their homes did you support with something as basic as a wheelchair? No, you did not do that, but you have continuously campaigned to cover up this crime and to secure political power. Today you come here asking for freedom for those responsible for these crimes.
උඹලා මේකේ හැමදාම කැම්පේන් කරා. අද මෙතන ඇවිල්ලා අපරාධකරුවන් වෙනුවෙන් නිදහස ඉල්ලනවා.
Sri Lanka has been ranked 67th globally in the Global Peace Index 2026 and is also South Asia's second most peaceful nation. The report was prepared by the Institute for Economics and Peace, an independent global think tank headquartered in Sydney.
Sri Lanka has recorded a remarkable surge in global stability, climbing to 67th place in the Global Peace Index 2026, a significant improvement from its 97th position in the previous 2025 report, marking one of the most notable progressions in the region. The latest report, compiled by the Institute for Economics and Peace, highlights Sri Lanka as the country with the largest percentage improvement in South Asia, with its overall peace score improving by 2.3%. This sharp rise reflects the country's gradual recovery and stabilization following the severe economic crisis of 2022, which had previously weighed heavily on public confidence and national security perceptions. According to the 2026 index, Sri Lanka is now ranked as the second most peaceful country in South Asia, behind only Bhutan, which holds the region's top position at 16th globally. Nepal follows Sri Lanka at 111th, with Bangladesh ranked 117th, India at 127th, Pakistan at 152nd and Afghanistan at 157th, underscoring Sri Lanka's relatively strong position within a region that continues to struggle with broader stability challenges. Sri Lanka's improved ranking has been driven primarily by gains in the militarization domain, which saw a 6.4% improvement. A key factor in this progress was a significant 40.8% improvement in the United Nations peacekeeping funding indicator, reflecting stronger international engagement and defense stabilization efforts. Further gains were recorded in the safety and security domain, which improved by 1.8%, driven largely by a notable 25% improvement in the political instability indicator.
And in sports news tonight, well, the moment ardent football fans have been waiting for is just less than 6 hours remaining, as the global football spectacle held once every 4 years is set to kick off.
Yes, Krishna, now Tina Tilakaratna takes us to look at the excitement building around the tournament. Tina, are you excited?
Yes, Sashini and Krishna, definitely. Now I'm sure every football fan is excited, and the 23rd FIFA World Cup is set to begin in just hours. The highly anticipated FIFA tournament, which has captured global attention, will be broadcast by the Maharaja Media Network, the licensed broadcast holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. Now, from tomorrow morning, viewers will have the opportunity to watch all the matches of this year's World Cup live on Sirasa TV and TV1.
For the first time in history, the FIFA World Cup will be jointly hosted by 3 countries, with the United States, Mexico and Canada sharing hosting duties for the tournament held once every 4 years. This marks the first instance in the 96-year history of the World Cup where 3 nations have come together as co-hosts. The 2026 edition also introduces a major expansion, with the number of participating teams increasing from 32 to 48, making it the largest World Cup ever. Nations including Cape Verde, Curacao, Jordan and Uzbekistan are set to make their debut appearances in the tournament. The group stage of the tournament will feature 12 groups labelled from A to L, with each team playing 3 matches during the initial phase. Five-time world champions Brazil will compete in Group C, while the defending champions Argentina, winners of the 2022 World Cup, will play in Group J. A total of 104 matches are scheduled to be played over 39 days across 16 major stadiums located throughout North America. The tournament will officially kick off with an opening match between Mexico and South Africa. The match, set to take place at the Mexico City Stadium, is scheduled to begin at 12:30 a.m. Sri Lanka time tomorrow. On the same day, the second match of the tournament will see South Korea face the Czech Republic in Mexico. That match is scheduled to begin at 7:30 a.m. Sri Lanka time. In a unique celebration of the event, 3 separate opening ceremonies are planned across the 3 host nations. Global music will also take center stage, with international pop star Shakira and Nigerian artist Burna Boy set to perform the official song of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, adding to the spectacle of what is expected to be one of the most memorable tournaments in football history.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Take care, good night, and God bless.